of course, we know what's coming this Sunday.
This Sunday, another excellent segue, Rob. It's like you don't know what I'm talking about. Bills versus the Ravens. The Bills win 27-25. This was the closest game maybe of the entire NFL season. It came down to two 2-point conversions, but everyone talks about the 1 2-point conversion. If you watch this game, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take the lead here. I have an interesting take, and I think, Ant, you're going to be surprised by this. Ant and everyone on the show knows I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson supporter, right? Ant, you said yourself last week that Matt said the question, who's finishing the game? Is it Derrick Henry or is it Lamar Jackson? And you said it was Lamar Jackson, and you said Lamar Jackson has to have a great game. He's not if Lamar Jackson has a good game, they're going to lose. And for the most part, you were right. Lamar Jackson had a good game. He had a great second half, but football is a game of two halves, right? 3 turnovers will hurt you, right? 2 of them were because of Lamar. A fumble because he was trying to do too much, which is something Lamar has always done, and an interception to none other than comeback player of the universe of the century, Damar Hamlin. The man died on the field. However, wait. In terms of blame, you're going to be surprised on how much blame I put on Lamar Jackson. At most, in terms of percentage, at most, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson gets 20% blame. Just 20%. Why? Because you threw an interception, you fumbled the ball, and then that led to 11 points, right? And in a game this close, 11 points is a lot, right? Mark Andrews gets 20% blame, right? I think it was to be honest, the 2-point conversion to end the game, I thought it was a bad pass. If I'm being completely and totally honest, I think it could have been a better pass from Lamar Jackson, right? Mark Andrews hasn't talked to the media. He's ghosted. He's MIA. Here's the point of this entire.
He's in witness protection program now, dude.
Honestly, he is in Switzerland under a fake name selling Cinnabons, right, at an outlet mall. Here's the real thing, and this is the whole point of this, and this is a genuine question. Why has John Harbaugh not been fired yet? We have spent this entire last month talking about how Mike Tomlin has failed in the playoffs. He's got a plus 500 record. He's gotten to the playoffs. He's failed, right? He failed with Ben Roethlisberger, failed with Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, whoever. And we blame Mike Tomlin. John Harbaugh has been in the league for almost a longer time. I think longer than Mike Tomlin. John Harbaugh is a 20-plus year NFL coach. They won 1 Super Bowl with like prime Ray Lewis, I'm pretty sure. However, everyone always looks at Lamar Jackson's a playoff choker, and that's been the narrative. I would like to know how John Harbaugh has just walked away scot-free from these conversations. If you look at this game, the Buffalo Bills could not stop Derrick Henry. There was no way on God's green earth they could stop Derrick Henry in this game. It's a snow game. Neither teams were throwing the ball at their normal rate. They had to go to the running game. Derrick Henry is the second best running back in the NFL. He could have been first, but Saquon went to the Eagles. Okay, why you stopped going to Derrick Henry? The Ravens had 2 2-point conversions. They both failed. One of them, the first one was batted down, and the second one was we all know what happened. Why are you not going to Derrick Henry on either one of them? After the first 2-point conversion doesn't work, you would think on the second one, let's put the ball on the ground and let's let this juggernaut from X-Men looking guy run the ball into the end zone. A terrible coaching scheme, I think. So Lamar gets 20%, Mark Andrews gets 20%, and the total is 140% because John Harbaugh, in my opinion, gets 100% of the blame, and I want to know why no one's talking about that.
Let me go first. First of all, you can't give blame to John Harbaugh on that because the coaching schemes were good. Were they not good, John? I mean,
they were. I agree with you. The coaching schemes were good, and then they went away from them at key moments in the game.
But there were plays. I mean, you had to think of that drive when they went down with Mark Andrews to fumble the football. They were going down the field. They were getting the momentum. They literally was going to get the lead, and then Mark Andrews fumbled the football.
Hey, man.
It's not.
Hey, man. I need you. Listen, I need you to don't look at just this game. You got to look at the past 5 games, right? I've said it to you. I'm like, Lamar Jackson, playoff choker, right? He keeps losing in the playoffs, right? Well, John Harbaugh has been his coach. So I want to know how I'm actually defending Lamar Jackson in this situation. I want to know why Lamar Jackson has been the one who has absorbed all the blame for the Ravens, and John Harbaugh just gets to come back every season with a clean slate.
So my question is, would you put blame on Dan Campbell for how they lost the last 2 playoff games?
You have to. You are the head coach of an NFL football team. You are you are probably second to the general manager on overall blame, right? If a quarterback throws an interception, it's his fault. But at the end of the day, you were the one who called that play. As an NFL head coach, you should absorb some blame for everything that happens. And the Ravens have done nothing in the playoffs the last 10 plus years, and John Harbaugh hasn't gotten any blame for it.
My thing about you bringing that up, Rob, though, about the Lions had 16 players in injured reserve. I don't feel like it's a fair comparison. If both teams were healthy
last year, though. Last year they blew that game. Remember, they had the lead against the Niners.
That fourth down. Dan Campbell's fourth down thing has been one of his biggest weaknesses, but I'm sticking on John Harbaugh.
But that's the only reason. That was my question. Like, do we put blame on these other coaches like that?
Yes. I'm not singling them out.
John Harbaugh doesn't call the offense. John Harbaugh doesn't call the offense.
I understand that, but you are the one who put in that offensive coordinator. You're the one who brought him in. You're the one who put in the offensive line coordinator. You're the one who put in the defensive coordinator. You are the top guy on the org chart. Okay, so when does the blame funnel up to you?
I think that it's easier to blame a player who's like a 2-time MVP than it is to blame a coach who's a 1-time Super Bowl winner. That's my opinion.
And that's what I'm saying. This game opened my eyes. This game opened my eyes. And yeah, again, Lamar Jackson damn near won them that game. Bills fans, I'm a Josh Allen fan. I'm not going to consider myself a Bills fan, right? I'm a Josh Allen fan. But Bills Mafia will never admit that they almost lost that game because Lamar Jackson, despite putting the Ravens out of that game, he brought them back into that game. And then there was some coaching decisions to not give Derrick Henry the ball on a 2-point conversion, where it's like, at what point does Lamar Jackson stop getting, like, again, this is the question. The question I'm asking is why? Why is John Harbaugh and the coaching staff getting none of the blame? Everything I'm seeing is Mark Andrews or Lamar.
Okay, so first of all, Lamar Jackson gonna get the blame because he's the franchise quarterback. I mean, he's getting paid $100-200 million to play football. He's going to get the blame 100%. But as far as the John Harbaugh question, he put the plays in place for them to get down the field. I know he didn't call the offense, but they had the plays to get down the field, and the players just didn't execute. So you can't really put you can put some blame on him. You can. But if the players are fumbling the football and Lamar Jackson is throwing an ill-advised pick, it's like, how can you really like blame John Harbaugh for that? Honestly, John Harbaugh
because I'm adding it to the previous seasons, right? One-time occurrence. It's a one-time occurrence. 2 is a coincidence. 3 is a pattern, and 4 is the definition of insanity. So it's like, okay, I'm just asking. You take microphone. You take everything added up, right? Every playoff blunder they've had last 5+ years, and I'm so curious as to why John Harbaugh gets none of the blame. I'm not saying he should be, but I want to know why.
Here, how about this? So when you look at Mark Andrews' career playoff stats as well, okay? So Mark Andrews in his career has played 8 playoff games. He has 29 receptions on 53 targets, 315 receiving yards, a fumble, no touchdowns. That calculates out to 39 receiving yards a game. And the biggest stat of this all that I haven't said yet, he has 8 drops in the playoffs. He doesn't even have that. I don't even think he has 8 drops in his career in the regular season. He doesn't step up when he needs to in the playoffs. Everyone looks at Mark Andrews as a top 5 tight end, right? In fantasy, he's always like a top 5 guy taken. He's right there behind Kelsey, Kittle.
He's the pinnacle of consistency for the tight end position.
What happens in the playoffs? So that's where some blame goes as well. Mark Andrews isn't going to put on a Ravens uniform again after that. You have a pretty damn good tight end right behind him in Isaiah Likely, where he's going to start seeing his time to shine because you saw where was Lamar looking in this game? He was looking at Likely. And also forget, in this game, they didn't have Zay Flowers. You don't have the number 1 target that Lamar had all year due to injury, the first-time Pro Bowler. How much of a difference does that make in this game? Drastically. it's going to be a totally different game. But of course, you have to deal with what you have on the field. Mark Andrews has to catch that ball. I know you said it wasn't the best placed ball, but if that ball hits you in the hands, you have to catch it no matter what. You can't come down and then it rolls off of you. You're a top 5 tight end in football. You have to come down with that, because if Lamar would have thrown it somewhere else, say he throws it out and it goes this way, it goes off his fingertips that way. You have to get it so that he could fall in because of the way the route was. They run that play all the time on 2-point conversions, and it's worked most of the time. But that one right there, no. So it's just a tough situation. But Lamar, you have to look back at that pick. You have to look back at that fumble. It's a lot of stuff that factored into this game. But I think that the biggest thing is Mark Andrews has to come down with that ball.
Again, I'll say my piece here, Matt. I'll give you one more spot before we actually talk about this Bills-Ravens game. I look at everything Mike Tomlin has endured this past month, right? We've all seen it. Talking about he being traded to Chicago before they got Ben Johnson, right? Talk about, Philly fans, they'll fire Nick Sirianni even if he wins the Super Bowl if he looked at the camera the wrong way, right? There's not really any. Kyle Shanahan, he went to the Super Bowl last year, and he was talked about getting traded in the middle of this season, right? And Mayo for the Patriots, one season in with a bum roster, he's gone, right? So you got super high stakes as an NFL coach, and for whatever reason, John Harbaugh has just kind of escaped that, and he hasn't gotten the job done. Matt, last thought on this topic.
I think that Baltimore is still appreciative of what he's given the city. He's given them pretty good consistency throughout his career, kind of like Mike Tomlin. Especially with Lamar now, it's easier to blame Lamar just because he's the forefront of the team. Quarterbacks are always going to be the forefront of the team. They're going to be the first ones to talk to the media. They're going to be the last ones to talk to the media, always. He has given the city of Baltimore, I don't know how many years now. I don't know, but he's like, I don't want to say the savior, but look at the rest of Baltimore sports. They're not really doing, the Orioles or whatever, but not really doing much else. So the city is backed on the Ravens, and the Ravens are built on John Harbaugh. So when you get rid of him, it begs the question of who else do you want? The name of Harbaugh alone, who else could take that figurehead spot? I think that's something else that needs to be considered.
I appreciate you guys. Go ahead. John. Sure, go ahead.
Honestly, I kind of understand what you're saying, honestly, because remember, I literally said this in the last podcast. We were praising the heck out of Mike Tomlin last year, and now this year he's going to scrutinize. So you might be onto something. If one more year with Lamar Jackson does not go well, not go to the Super Bowl, the blame will be on John Harbaugh. I definitely understand that.
I appreciate you guys indulging. I'm so curious about it, on why the judgment of NFL coaches and why it's the finish line gets moved for everybody. So